This is Inside Mside, your favorite podcast for all things Morningside. Here's stories from students, alumni, faculty, and more about what makes the Morningside experience so special. Perfect. Welcome back to another episode of Inside Mside. I'm really excited today. We actually have Kenny Osten, a recent graduate, probably one of our youngest new alumni, right? Just graduating last May, the class of 2021. Kenny, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you back on campus. Probably doesn't feel like that long ago, but it's always good to see your smiling face back here.
Yes, it was just yesterday.
Yeah, right?
I was basically here and a student.
No doubt.
Good to be back.
Yeah, man. No, it's great to have you back and great to have you in the community. I know we'll get into that a little bit more, but having you working here and thinking about what's next, it's always exciting to hear from our alumni of where they're going, what they're going on to do. Kenny, I want to get started on the show. Just kind of a question that I ask almost anyone is just talk to me a little bit about your experience of what brought you to Morningside.
So Morningside had a lot of different things to offer as I was going through the whole college searching process. So I started with the whole, I applied to big colleges, I applied to smaller colleges. So I applied to Iowa and UNL were the biggest colleges that I applied to. And then a lot of GPAC schools. So I applied to Doane and Morningside and places like that as well. And we went to UNL a lot through high school stuff. So we got lots of tours of that campus and a lot of just organizations and stuff went there for different reasons and stuff. So Boys State and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And then Iowa, I didn't really get to very often. Never even went on a college visit, to be honest, but I applied still. And then when I visited Doane, I really, really loved the campus. But then I came to Morningside and it just felt like home, and everybody that I met was really personable, which is something I was really looking forward to. As I went to college I'm a pretty big people person, so I like interacting with people.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed, coming to campus and everybody feeling like somebody that I could work with, if not a colleague, then a friend, that I could see down the road. So that's what brought me to Morningside, was more than anything the people did, for real.
Yeah. And it's just interesting doing these episodes and having these interactions. I mean, that's something that you hear time and time again is you get to campus and it's the people. Mm-hmm. It's the people, it's the culture, it's the environment at this institution that kind of sells it and really what sets it aside from everything. I know that I had that experience when I came here. It's awesome to hear that you had a similar experience. And we're kind of similar in the sense that both pretty outgoing and love talking and meeting new people, and to have that experience at Morningside and that opportunity to do so. Mm-hmm. So you made the commitment. You're coming to Morningside. What are you planning on doing? What are you thinking you might study? What are you going to be involved in? Talk to me about some of your aspirations early on.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to play basketball. So I got to talk to, it was Coach Sykes at the time.
Yeah.
And Coach Miller as well. And they were really excited. And so it was nice to meet with them. And I'd met them before because my sister actually went to Morningside as well.
Yeah.
And so I'd met them before through Leanne, and then was able to kind of come and interact with them in more of a student-athlete perspective than just a student-athlete's sibling kind of a perspective. So that was cool. And then I actually came to Morningside undecided. And so I was leaning towards education starting at Morningside, but had a lot of different paths in mind. So I was thinking I wanted to be a math teacher. I wanted to go into medicine. I wanted to go into astronomy and go work at NASA. Or I had no idea was my other option.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
A lot of different
scratch
paths.
The drawing board. Yeah, back to it.
Yep. And so kind of just a lot of different things. And most of them, it was kind of at the, you should probably know when you start kind of range. And so I just kind of came in undecided. And then that's where you helped me a lot, actually, of just kind of taking those classes that kind of dip a toe in each different area and kind of figure out where I wanted to go.
Which is kind of cool about our relationship. You touched on that a little bit, is that I got to know you as your advisor and kind of help you through that process, when we were having those individual advising sessions, learning a little bit about those interests, and then really figuring out, okay, well, what classes can we take that will at least expose you a little bit to that. I remember those days, especially early on with the education side of it.
Yes.
It was very clear that you were passionate about that, because that's what Leanne does too, right?
Correct. Yep.
So for those of you that might be listening or know, Leanne Osten, was here as well. Now, when you came here initially, was she coaching? She wasn't a student at that point in time, right?
Correct. She graduated in 14.
Yeah. And so you were coming in and you had known about teachers, or you know what I mean? Like that was kind of in your realm too. And it was cool to see you try these different things and then ultimately find your passion and just get excited about basketball, but also trying all those other classes and those things. And so then walk me through it. We started taking those different classes. You kind of started finding your way. I know one of those components is really Morningside's emphasis on experiential learning.
Yes.
Right? We talk a lot about that. And I know as an advisor, we talk to you about some of those opportunities off campus to really learn about what you might want to do. Talk to me a little bit about your experience with that.
Yeah. So a couple of things that I did that kind of helped me to narrow down my path towards eventual medicine was I started, like the first thing I ever remember doing was I did a work study program through America Reads, and I got into a classroom like right away, which was super, super cool.
Yeah.
And so I very much enjoyed, I was in a TK classroom, so transitioning right before kindergarten. And so I got to work with, I think 20 something kids in a TK classroom. And we got to just it was real simple stuff of just like, here's how you write your name, here's how you do your numbers and stuff like that, and working through like problem solving skills and stuff like that. So that kind of helped me. That actually made me want to go into education a little bit more. But then I went on my experiential trip to the hospital and got a tour like the NICU and the peds department, and kind of just turned a little bit of a leaf there. And then I took an anatomy class, and eventually I took like phys and stuff like that. And I just enjoyed learning about the human body and like the medicine side of like working with kids. And then got to volunteer at the hospital on our peds floor, which is one of my favorite experiences that I've ever had at Morningside, and got to work with a lot of kids for a lot of different reasons, and just helping to kind of distract them from whatever's going on while they're in the hospital. Some days, one time I spent 6 hours playing video games with a kid, just so that they didn't have to focus on like some like real
treatment
life things
or something else,
that
or
are
just the
going on.
heaviness of being in a hospital.
And so that was super awesome.
Yeah. And I was thinking back to the experience that you touched on, for those of you listening, maybe didn't know, one of the things we've been doing with the emphasis on those experiential activities and that experiential learning was really partnering with different entities, organizations, companies, all different kinds of things throughout the community. And so what was cool was we were able to bring a whole group of students and tour the hospital, right? We went up to Unity Point, St. Luke's, and we're able to have a rotational experience, right? Where we learned from all these different areas and got to hear through case studies and what they were doing. And so it was cool to see you light up at that event, or, get that spark where it's like, okay, I see this. And then be able to really to go into that and start pursuing that, because then that was kind of when it changed and you started, like you said, taking anatomy classes and maybe going down a little more of that path. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about, that was more the academic side. What was Kenny like on campus? What were you involved in? What was that campus life like?
So I did a lot of things on campus. So I was involved with a lot of like campus ministries, stuff like that. So I did Breakthrough and United College Ministries and stuff. I did some small groups and all that jazz. I was in basketball, which took a lot of my time, which was super awesome to do. Being a student athlete, there's a large student athlete population on campus. And so it kind of helps you to build relationships with people and stuff like that. And so you get to meet a lot of people, and then a lot of people are in the same boat as you, so they understand why you can and can't do certain things. So it's like
busy schedule.
Yeah. So I could not hang out with you tonight to watch a movie because I really gotta get ready for 6 a.m. practice tomorrow or something like that. And they understand, which is really cool. I was involved in a lot of different science clubs. So I did like the pre-professional health club eventually once I figured out what I wanted to do with my life.
Yep.
Stuff like that. And just, yeah, stayed as busy as I could. I was a student ambassador as well. So I gave a lot of tours on campus and met a lot of prospective students. And kind of the same reason I'm here now, I got to share my passion of why I came to Morningside and why I stayed at Morningside with a lot of people that are looking at different colleges and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's so cool to see. I mean, just involved, being a student athlete has you busy enough, right?
Yeah.
But it was great to see you joining those different clubs and organizations, or even giving tours, talking to the next generation of Morningsiders, you know, and ushering them here, or at least being one of those friendly faces, like you said, and I had, you know, a similar experience, at least being that warm greeting, you know what I mean, when they get to campus. I think that's really cool. Talk to me a little bit about being a student athlete. I mean, I've heard a lot of people have such great memories of that, and being a young alumni, I mean, I'm sure they're fresh in your mind. Were there any stories or instances that kind of stand out to you?
I just enjoyed being like doing what I love with people that loved what I loved. So I've like everybody that gets to college and wants to be a college athlete has like some sort of affinity for the sport. Like they love what they do. And so like oftentimes, like sometimes when you're on your high school team, you have some kids that don't really like love the sport, or like just enjoy a different sport, but they're athletic kind of a thing. And so like being from a small school, there wasn't a lot of pool of kids to kind of pick and choose like the best athletes and make like this all-star team. But then you kind of get to this college atmosphere and everybody loves basketball. Everybody loves to play basketball. So that's really cool. You just kind of like get a bond over that like shared love, which is pretty cool. And then it just kind of goes beyond it too, of they kind of become your first group of friends on campus because you're just with them all the time. You're at workouts and lifting and practice, and you hang out and you watch film and stuff like that. And so it's pretty neat that you get to it's kind of a little sub atmosphere, I would say, of a campus life, just being with your college team, whichever sport or organization you're involved in, basically kind of gives you just a really cool like atmosphere of people to be around.
It's like a family.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, gosh, because you're definitely spending more time with them than you are your actual family.
For real though.
So yeah,
and
they
so,
become that.
Yeah, and they just kind of like, again, like shared like triumphs and shared struggles too. And so you all have to wake up for 6 a.m. practice, and so you're rolling in, scrubbing your eyes at 5:30 in the morning, and getting your shoes
commiserating about having to get up.
Yeah, and you like, and then shared like you beat a team that maybe you're not supposed to, or like that beat you before, and so like you like a shared triumph there, or like you meet a goal that you were working on all season, kind of a thing. So you get to like share a lot of those as well, which is, it just like helps to create just again like a little family atmosphere, which is really cool.
Yeah. And bond over maybe those big wins, or you know what I mean, you have those milestones that are exciting, but then you have tough losses too, you know what I mean, at least you can rely and lean on each other through those times as well. Now, I know that basketball is actually continuing to be a big part of your life. I know we'll get to a little bit more about the professional side, but tell me what you're doing a little bit now. I mean, in terms of like a side gig of basketball and how that's in your life.
So I am a youth sports basketball coach. So I am currently at the Arena Sports Academy coaching 3 club basketball teams, winter teams. So I coach 2 6th grade teams and a 7th grade girls club basketball team. So they keep me plenty busy. So we have practices and workouts and tournaments all weekend, basically. And then, I just do as much as I can to help them develop as athletes so that eventually they can go back to their own schools and kick some butt.
Yeah, no doubt. And we were talking earlier too, one of the things that's kind of cool is just how you meet and network with Morningside alumni all over. Yes. And so, I mean, gosh, even in your experience, because you have the Arena Sports Academy, Dustin Cooper, you know, an alumni, running that. Then we were talking about Nickel, you know, that he's helping with that as well. It's like you have your own little Morningside alumni tribe over there at the Arena Sports Academy doing big things. So
there's a lot of Morningside kids over there, which is super awesome to see. And I say kids as if I'm not one, but there's a lot of Morningside people over there that it's just, again, like you get to bring your campus family over to the arena family. And so it's really cool to be able to know that when you're working with other coaches, sometimes you got to trust them to like help you, and you get to like kind of spitball ideas and stuff like that off of them. And so knowing that they have a pretty similar background, or even if they don't, that you can kind of work with them and you trust them just because they went to Morningside. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. You at least have that tie.
They got some they got some good decision-making skills.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I feel the same way, that it's like sometimes if you don't know someone and then you find out even that little thing that you have in common, it's really cool. And then going to the arena and spending some time there. Gosh, I was just there too for a fundraiser, and it was great seeing students volunteer.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, gosh, our teams are going out there to practice. We have different groups and organizations volunteering there because they're housing a lot of tournaments. They're bringing in a ton of teams from all over the country. And so really representing Morningside well, and just giving that first class experience. You know what I mean? I think that that's really something that we all can be proud of. It's just cool that you get to do it with almost like a fraternity or a family of Morningside alumni all going towards that mission. It's very cool. One more thing that I wanted to touch on was some of your other experiences at Morningside, because didn't you go on a May term and some other stuff too?
I did.
Yeah, I was going to say, you did some cool stuff. Talk a little bit about that.
So I actually got a really cool experience. So it took a lot of convincing of my parents, but I got to go to Italy and Greece for my May term for 2 weeks. So we went to Italy for a week and then flew to Athens and stayed in Greece for a week. And so it was one of the more expensive May trips, but I convinced my parents by telling them that I was going to med school, so I'm going to be in debt, so I might as well go a little bit more.
Right.
But
have that experience while you can.
Yeah. So we got to just fully immerse ourselves with the people, the cuisine, the atmosphere, the climate, just everything that went with. I'd never been to a new country. I had taken Spanish classes before, but like was not super bilingual when it came to like Italian or Greek. Greek is just a whole new language when it comes to like trying to learn stuff. And so we got to just like for real, just dive in as much as we could. And I had some really awesome friends and knew a lot of people that were on the trip with me. And so we got to just explore as much as we could. And we were the kind of people that didn't want to just sit and relax when we had time. And so we ended up, one time we had 2 free hours in Florence. And so we walked like 1.5 miles up this hill area and found this plaza that overlooked the whole city of Florence, and then sprinted back to our bus so that we could go on our next tour or whatever. And so one time a friend and I like jumped into the ocean and didn't think about like needing a towel to dry off. And so we walked back onto our cruise ship like sandy and stuff because we didn't think that far ahead, but you just kind of got to live in the moment and stuff like that. And so got to experience incredible things. We got to experience like a sunset on Santorini, which is about, when you think of like a Grecian postcard, like Santorini is the place that they always do like the white buildings, the blue doors, like the crystal clear water. I know exactly what you're talking about. Super cool. Got to like hike a mountain in Delphi. We went to a spa off the coast of Santorini. It was just like incredible experiences that I'd never, ever done in my life and hope to continue to do. But it was just really cool to be able to do it when, like once you become like an alumni and you get out of college, you have a lot more responsibilities. Just like thinking like you have to like pay off a lot of things and stuff like that. And so you might not be able to do super extravagant trips like that, but
life comes at you fast. Yeah, that's quick. For sure. Well, and that's what I love about May term. I don't know when that whole program started, but really the idea of taking a week or two, a few weeks in May to do something outside of the classroom, something that would not be in a normal curriculum, but an opportunity to learn more about the world around you. And so, like you said, some students will travel, and go experience and immerse themselves in the culture of other countries. Other students will take experiences right here on campus like I did. I actually, I took a class on the probability and statistics of various gambling games. And so we even did a trip to a casino and stuff. We had a blast. But it was one of those things where you're given the opportunity to take advantage and learn these great things that you wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to do. You know, and just learn about the culture, see the sites, or learn new skills. Gosh, I was just talking with a professor that is doing one this coming summer. It's the Taste of Siouxland, right? And it's just going through all these different restaurants, or eating Siouxland, I think might be what it's called. But and then teaching students to how to write reviews about the food they're experiencing.
There you go.
And so it's like, hey, you get to have fun, you get to eat a great meal, and then you get to reflect on that experience, maybe learn some skills of writing. But I just think that that's one of the great programs that we offer here at Morningside, and it's awesome that you got a chance to go experience that. I mean, gosh, Italy and Greece.
It was incredible. Awesome. I know there was another one, I think my senior year, where they went and would have been like right up my alley. They went and like sampled all the different coffees in Sioux City. So they went to like Stone Brew and Starbucks and Scooters and
Hardline. And
all of
Nightingale.
These, yes. And then they ranked them all, and I was like, oh, this is a dream.
Yes, you were telling me that you love coffee. And we got some good options. And what's cool about that is, I mean, you have like Nightingale and Hardline and these different options that are owned by Morningside alums. So it's a whole nother level of how cool that is. But yeah, there's a lot of great opportunities. So it's not all just academics and figuring out what you want to do with your future. We have programs like May Term, you know what I mean, where you can really just have some fun with it.
Yeah,
that's so cool. So the moment now, we're talking a little bit about where are you and what are you looking to do. I know that you were involved in the hospital. We talked a little bit about your decision to transition from more of education. And then we had that experiential activity. You really saw healthcare as your future. I know you got more involved. You talked about the impact of working in peds and some of those floors and wanting to do that. And we skipped over, I'm not going to let you be humble on this. Didn't you win an award of something? Weren't you named? Like, what was that?
I was the volunteer of the month when I was volunteering at St. Luke's. It was my last month there before I applied for my real job.
There you go. Our as a student, volunteer of the month, getting named that. I thought that was such a cool just accolade or thing that you were being recognized for all the work that you were doing of volunteering at the hospital. That was cool. So now you were volunteering, you were working out there, doing different things. Talk to me about where you're at now.
So now I am a full-time peds tech. So I am like the CNA on the peds floor, so I get to work with all the pediatric patients that we have. And then through my job, I also get to float to like the NICU. Sometimes I float to like the postpartum floor. And then I get to float all throughout the hospital to work with like one-to-one patients and stuff like that. So I get to work with anybody from literally like fresh out the womb until like I've worked with some patients that are 80 plus years old. So I work with all sorts of age ranges, all sorts of differing abilities and stuff that comes with that and different diseases. And I've seen lots and lots and lots of different things like like neonatal ICU patients, pediatric ICU patients, adult ICU patients, all sorts, like the whole gamut that you could go from. And it's awesome to see like the education kind of put into work kind of a thing. So you learn about all these things and you like take your anatomy, you take your physiology, and then you get to like see it. You're like, why does this person have this disease and why are they presenting this as their what's causing them to do this kind of a thing. And so my favorite thing that I do is I'll talk to the doctors all the time or the residents and be like, so why are you doing this? Why should we be doing this? Why are we not doing this kind of a thing? Or even to the nurses and stuff like that too, because they're working most often with the patients, the nurses are. And so I get to just kind of ask a whole bunch of questions that maybe I didn't know that I needed asked when I was in college, or just like come up throughout the day of just like, why do we do this? Why do we do that?
And just being curious. Or inquisitive.
Which is my favorite part. Like I love what I do and I love working with my pediatric patients. But above all else, I want to learn more than anything. So I enjoy going to work and learning every single day. It's really cool.
And now we're looking at med school
Looking
and
into,
looking at
yeah.
kind of next steps or what we might want to go into.
Yes. So weighing the pros and cons of med school versus PA school. So I'm
Yeah.
enjoying my gap year, enjoying it a lot.
For sure.
But eventually I would like to continue on. And again, I want to learn more. So I want to be able to help the most amount of people that I can. And so I think that the best route for me is either PA school or med school, which I'm still kind of weighing those pros and cons. But eventually I'll apply to one of those and become a pediatrician or a pediatric PA. And just kind of see where life goes from there.
Well, and honestly, that's one of the things I've loved watching your journey was really the ability to know you as an advisor, advisee, you know what I mean? And then watch you find your passion, get involved at the hospital, be so passionate about what you're doing. But now then I was in career services, right? And then seeing you come back now even as an alum, and now I changed as the alumni engagement director. So getting to welcome you back as an alum, but then seeing you work with career services and saying, okay, well, how can we make this better? How can my application be better? What can I study differently to prepare myself for this? What are weighing those pros and cons? Sometimes our alumni don't know that that's a service that we can provide, or at least be a resource or answer questions or see if we can connect the dots for people. So it's cool having you back on campus as often as we can and trying to draw you back just to make sure that you're set up for success in the future.
For sure. One of the best things about Morningside too is like Morningside has such a broad network of individuals, and so when I was giving tours, I'd always tell like prospective students the same thing of like you'd be surprised like where Morningside students go at all times. And I'd be like, between our career specialists and stuff, the people that work here, like if you reach out to them about anything, somebody's doing it somewhere, or they know somebody or their third cousin or whoever in the world, they'll get you contacted to somebody, which has always been something that I've really appreciated because, again, like I'm a really personal person. And so if I can reach out to somebody and like talk to them one-on-one or ask the questions that I have, or be like, I don't have questions, but what questions did you have? Like what questions should I have, kind of a thing. As I move forward in my life, it's kind of just good to know of like what are the pros, what are the cons, and how like then you can weigh them the best that you can.
Yeah, well, and that's just such a great way for honestly our alumni to get involved. That's one of the things that, you know, will be a mission near and dear to me is just getting alumni back on campus and being mentors to our students, or even answering some of those questions, you know, that you have. And so don't go too far. I'm gonna be looking for you to pay it forward, being able to answer those questions for those students, because I think that insight and just really having that experience is so valuable for our students, no matter whether they're freshmen, Kenny, that was kind of deciding where and what to do and how to weigh the decisions of life of what to major in, to now really looking at even which route of medical school you want to go into. I mean, I think that sometimes having that perspective, having that individual or, you know, alumni that has went that direction or has made those decisions, sometimes that can change the course and the trajectory of your life. And so it's really cool. And so, yeah, I'm glad that you've had that experience or been able to meet those individuals to answer those questions. And we look forward to having you back on campus so you can share the expertise once you're there too.
For sure.
It's been great. Kenny, any last things that you would want to share about your time at Morningside? Again, I know you're a recent alum, so it's fresh in your mind. Anything that stands out to you over the last 4 years, maybe that makes you proud to be a Morningsider, or just any experience that you think set it apart, anything that you're going to cherish, thinking about the friendships you've made, anything like that?
Yeah. No matter where you go in life, your support system is going to be a huge part of your life. And so as I'm starting to transition out of college, like I still talk to some high school friends and stuff like that, but your college friends are who you're going to turn to most often in life. And so they just become such a huge part of your support system. And Morningside like truly develops like a family. So like there are some friends that like I've taken home and stuff like that. And so like they know who my parents are, they know who my siblings are, they've met my nieces and nephews and stuff like that, which is something that Morningside is just so good about. But I think the biggest thing that I would encourage everybody to do as they go or as they come to Morningside, is just to dive in. Like, just take every opportunity that you have, whether that's you study while you watch a movie with some friends, or you go to a Mac event, you go to, I think they just had a rollerblading thing. Like, go, like, I would be
Roller-rama or something.
awful at that. I'd be so bad at that. But just going. I know one time, like, I couldn't even ice skate, but I still went with my friends, and I was in the crowd studying while they were ice skating and stuff like that. But just being able to, even if you're not like directly with somebody, like being able to hang out with people while you do what you need to get done so that you can get through college, kind of a thing. Just like take every opportunity that you have.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Kenny, it's awesome to have you on Inside Mside. I really appreciated you taking the time and sharing the perspective and just really your journey of what it was like to go from student to now young alumni. So looking forward to keeping in touch. Appreciate you making time.
Thank you.